narrated in a sense, painful story, but in a very pleasant way. You have touched upon a classic topic, and very critical, and a real life problem of the people of both countries, Bangladesh and India. And I must add, this is a thought-provoking issue, and I am very sure that you get remarks, questions and queries from the audience.
আমার বাড়ি শিলংয়ে, মানে ছিল, আমার জন্ম শিলংয়ে। বাবা তখন আসামের রাজধানী শিলংয়েই চাকরি করতেন। পার্টিশনের পরে আমরা এখানে এলাম। আমি একবার শিলং গিয়েছিলাম, একবার না দুবার গিয়েছিলাম। একবার আমরা বন্ধু বান্ধবরা মিলে একটা ট্রাভেল করেছিলাম, আরেকবার আমি নিজে একা গিয়েছিলাম। তো সেখানে গিয়ে আমি যেটা দেখেছি, অনেক কষ্ট করে আমাদের আত্মীয় স্বজন যারা রয়ে গিয়েছিলেন তাদের কারো কারোর সাথে দেখা হলো, মনে হলো অবস্থা তেমন একটা সুবিধাজনক না। সেটা হতো স্বাভাবিক। তবে আমাকে বলা হলো যে আমি যেন বাংলায় কথা না বলি, মানে বাইরে অন্যদের সাথে। এটা আমাকে অবাক করেছে এবং আমি কারণটা জিজ্ঞেস করিনি বা বুঝতে পারিনি। আর ২ নম্বর কথা হলো যে আমরা যেরকম ওখান থেকে এসছি, আমাদের মধ্যে তো আরো অনেক লোক বাংলাদেশে এসছে, তাহলে বাংলাদেশ থেকে অনেক লোক ওখানে গেছে। এরকম মাইগ্রেশন তো ওদিক থেকে হয়েছে, কলকাতা থেকে এসছে, আবার এখান থেকে কলকাতায় গেছে। এটা 1947 এর পরে খুব খুব সাধারণ ঘটনা ছিল, যাচ্ছে আসছে এবং সেটেল করছে অন্য জায়গায় গিয়ে। এই কনটেক্সটে কি আপনি বলবেন যে আসামের অবস্থাটা এই ঢাকা ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলের তুলনায় অনেক পার্থক্য আছে বা আছে কিনা? ধন্যবাদ।
I would prefer to speak in English for her to understand it better, because I'm afraid she may not fully understand Bengali, although he has reasons to speak in Bengali. I appreciate that. He is my senior. I was in the government, so an ex-bureaucrat, but I do take interest in things going around in the neighboring countries, especially the Northeast, which is politically different, and politically is not a problem. But the racial, religious problem in the Northeast is a problem in the Northeast which affects all of us, especially psychologically. Because I was born in this part of the country and have been living here, but it psychologically affects us. But then, this is the situation in history, except in the newly colonized countries of America or countries like that, Australia, where only the Europeans migrated there, and later other Asians and Africans. Asians migrated, but the Africans are brought in as slaves, but they live here, and there is no resistance from there, because the indigenous people have been reduced to a minority where they cannot have the daring or the courage or the strength to resist the incoming. And now it is a white country, America, for example, basically, Australia, or certainly all these colonized countries. But in places like this, as you have very rightly said, and I take this opportunity to thank you very much for the honesty and the truthfulness, and also the love for the oppressed that you have expressed in your writings. That is how a researcher should be. So I thank you as a great researcher, a really, really good researcher. But the researcher also brings out the truth, which you have not failed to do. You have done it. You have spoken the truth. It's not your responsibility to ensure the Miyas, as you have called them. We understand Miya. Yes, also we understand very well. Miya is normally termed for Muslims. You have stated the truth. A researcher does not provide political protection or provide political situation where people may feel safe or may feel equal or have equal rights, politically, socially, economically, and others. That is not your function. You have brought out the truth for the whole world to read, to understand, and for the people who are responsible to do something, try to do it. So I thank you as a great researcher, although we were not very senior in age, an assistant professor and almost a young girl in our eyes. But we thank you very greatly.
Last 15 days back, I have got my PhD degree.
Yeah, you look so young. I thank you. Normally, people are, even researchers are partial. I am a student of economics, and did some research works also in economic issues. We wrote the truth, but while writing it and we see that the Western countries are causing us harms, we feel pained and resist it. But I have not sensed that sort of resistance in favor of the communities there. Although I believe you are an Assamese, not all of those. Assamese are almost Bengalis in looks, language and everything. And some of our researchers have said that 100 years more before the British came, and there will be only one language, Bengali, or maybe Assamese, who knows. But thank you very much. But anyway, these are the truths that we have been craving. We get only newspaper reports or television reports. The reporters, as you know, want to sensationalize things, and they present the painful sides, the oppression side, and all those things, so we know it. But it is also natural that I would resist somebody coming in to my place and, in my view, trying to take over my land. But he has been taken there. These Muslim Miyas went because of their poverty, for lack of work on this side of the border. And Assam, they invited them, the Jamindars, they invited them, and they went to work as cheap laborers. As you say, now they also have been working as cheap laborers, so it's not their fault. So this is basically an economic migration, but politicians have given it a political color, and you know who. Someone wanted to throw them into the Bay of Bengal, or to kill the masterminds who now decides policies for the Prime Minister of India. These are political talks, but they have been deferring these political things. I understand, this is politics. They will go out someday, and some other parties will come, and it will remain like this, and to form this section that is coming, new section, new population. Population, the entire Bengal, Bengal was not a Muslim country, but they became, only through the census of 1878, they were found as majority. They were not before that, or at least not recognized. So these sort of things have been going over all over the world, and the new immigrants in the new place are killed, tortured, and sometimes they are going to majority and occupy the whole country. Who knows that the foothills will someday not be a place of the Miyas. I do not increase it further, but have you published it as a book?
Not yet.
It's in the process. How could we be getting it here in Dhaka? We buy the book. Please see that, or I can take one of your cards to be in touch with you, so that I would love to read the book when it comes out. It has really touched me as a very, very good and neutral and impartial researcher, which you are. Thank you very much for a good researcher. Thank you very much.
Could I speak?
Sure, sir. Yeah.
Yes, please. Sorry, I'm Sadhguru Amin, I'm a teacher by profession. I really liked your paper. It's fascinating. I just like the integration that you mentioned, how the Miyas got integrated with the indigenous people. The Miyas, I'm quite new in this field really. I hardly know anything. Miyas, do you here include Muslims as well non-Muslims? This is my first question, okay? Because you've said all immigrants are Miyas. But I don't know, my common sense says that all immigrants should not be taught Miyas really. As he has mentioned, Muslims are not normally Miyas, one thing. Again, in Citizenship Act, that is in, I think, 2000, you mentioned in one page. Yes, so there you find that he says that Muslims are not mentioned there. So should we really encourage the other people of other religions to go there really, and then the Muslims to be sort of persecuted, the sort of say act they have mentioned. Besides, one thing you've avoided, I believe, the hate speeches and stand of the politicians, important people really, that we did at times. I normally don't read newspapers though. I heard these just maybe at times when my wife solves crossword puzzle. I just look at the headline. That's all really. Nothing, believe me. So that's that really. So that has been, I think, avoided intentionally. I believe. I don't know why, or maybe it will too long because the paper is already quite elaborate, I think. So this I have made my quite short really. I'm not like Mr. What is my former speaker, Mr. Ali Ahmed Delhi. So I'm going to speak to you in detail, but I really thank you for the excellent paper they presented. Thank you very much.
আমার নাম মোহাম্মদ আব্দুল সামাদ, আমি একজন রিটায়ার্ড সিভিল সার্ভেন্ট। আমি প্রথমে অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি ডক্টর অন্তরা বরা যে আপনি চমৎকার একটি রিসার্চ পেপার উপস্থাপন করেছেন এবং অনেক কষ্ট করেছেন। আমি যেটা দেখতে পারলাম যে মেরা পানি সেই গ্রামে, এবং এশিয়াটিক সোসাইটির সভাপতি এবং সেক্রেটারি জেনারেলকেও আমি অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি যে এইরকম একটা ইস্যু নিয়ে তাকে আসাম থেকে এখানে আনা, এবং এটা তার মেইডেন ভিজিট। আমি প্রতিটা সেশনে আপনাদের আসতে চাই, কিন্তু দুর্ভাগ্যজনক কাজের ব্যস্ততা আসতে পারি, কিন্তু আমি আজকে সব প্রোগ্রাম বাদ দিয়ে আগ্রহ নিয়ে এসেছি যে একজন রিসার্চার, একজন প্রফেসর কি চিন্তা করছে, এবং আমি অভিনন্দন জানাচ্ছি যে আজকে অত্যন্ত নিরপেক্ষভাবে আপনি চিন্তা করেছেন। আসাম এবং পূর্ব বাংলা ঐতিহাসিকভাবে একসাথে ছিল। ব্রিটিশ গভর্নমেন্ট একটা আইন করেছিলেন, এক দেশ এক রাষ্ট্র। আসামের সেন্ট্রাল জেলখানাটা সিলেটে এবং ঢাকা ছিল রাজধানী। এবং আপনার এই যে আসাম বেঙ্গল রেলওয়ে আপনি বলেছেন যে চিটাগং পোর্টকে কানেক্ট করার জন্য সেই রেলওয়ের সৃষ্টি হয়েছিল। তো আসাম হাজার হাজার বছর ধরে বাই টপোগ্রাফিক্যালি ব্রাদার, আপনার বাংলাদেশ বলেন, নাগাল্যান্ড বলেন, ত্রিপুরা বলেন, আসাম বলেন, টপোগ্রাফিক্যালি যখন আমরা একসাথে আছি ফর 1000 years we are brother like a twin brother। এটা তো অস্বীকার করার কোনো উপায় নেই। আমি তো আমেরিকার সাথে সেপারেটেড না, আমি গুজরাট থেকে দূরে, পাকিস্তান থেকে দূরে, কাশ্মীর থেকে দূরে।
Actually, sir, means Guwahati is very near to Dhaka rather than Delhi actually.
Yes, very near. এবং আমার বাড়ি স্যার বললেন, সোহেল স্যার বললেন শিলং, আমার বাড়ি হচ্ছে মেঘালয়ের নিচে, গারো পাহাড়ের নিচে, কনরাড সাকবার যেখানে তুরাতে ডিস্ট্রিক্ট, তার পাশে হচ্ছে নালিতাবাড়ি সেতু, সেখানে আমার বাড়ি। গারো হাজং, আমার বাড়িতে গারো শিক্ষক ছিল, সে পড়াইতো। তো এখন কথাটা হচ্ছে যে একটা মানুষ এখান থেকে ওখানে যাবে। আজকে বাংলাদেশের 1 কোটি মানুষ সারা পৃথিবীতে আছে, 1 কোটি মানুষ। তারা বাংলাদেশকে ভুলেও যাবে, থার্ড জেনারেশন যখন যাবে। ঋষি সুনাক যদি প্রধানমন্ত্রী হয় যুক্তরাজ্যের, তাহলে সেই হয়ে গেছে, সেই ব্রিটিশ জাতির গৌরব কোথায় থাকলো? তাদের কোথায় থাকলো যে ভারতের বংশোদ্ভূত একটা মানুষ আমরা আশা করছি যে বাংলাদেশের একজন হয়ে যাবে হয়তো 20 বছর 50 বছর পরে। পৃথিবী তো এক জাতি, এক নেশন, আল্লাহ তো সেইভাবেই সৃষ্টি করেছেন, হযরত আদমকে পাঠিয়েছেন, সেই জন্য এক দেশ এক জাতি এক নেশন। আমরা পলিটিশিয়ানরা ভাগ করেছি দেশ, যে বর্ডার দিয়েছি, আমরা তার কাটা বেড়া দিয়েছি। এখন আমি সত্য মেনে, আমি প্রথম বিশ্বাস করি নাই যে বর্তমান সময়ে কোনো মানুষ ইন্ডিয়াতে আসামে যায়, কিন্তু আপনি ছবিতে দেখিয়েছেন, কারণ বাংলাদেশের ইকোনমি আসামের ইকোনমির চাইতে, নাগাল্যান্ডের ইকোনমির চাইতে অনেক বেটার পজিশন। আমি গ্রামে বাস করি, আমি আপনাকে উদাহরণ দিই। আমার গ্রামে এইবার ফসল কাটার জন্য, ধান কাটার জন্য 1500 টাকা, 1500 টাকাতেও লেবার পাওয়া যায় না। কেউ ধান কাটার কাজ করবে না, কেউ কৃষি কাজ করবে না বাংলাদেশে। সবাই তারা এখন গার্মেন্টসে আছে, ওখানে আছে, সেখানে আছে। কিভাবে আমি বুঝতে পারি না যে এই সময়েও বাংলাদেশ থেকে নাগাল্যান্ডে বা আসামে যাওয়ার কোনো সুযোগ আছে বলে আমার মনে হয় না। আমি এটা বিশ্বাস করতে চাই। টাটা তারের বেড়া আছে, বিজিবি আছে গুলি করে মারার জন্য, এবং বহু মানুষকে তারা মেরেছে, বাংলাদেশের বহু নাগরিককে তারা মেরেছে গুলি করে নিষ্ঠুরভাবে। তাহলে এই সময় অন্তত এই কৃষি কাজ করার জন্য কেউ নাগাল্যান্ডে যাবে, আসামে যাবে, এইটা আমি বিশ্বাস করতে চাই না। এখন যে কথাটা হচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে যে আপনি 7 সিস্টার, আমি 4 বছর আগে আসামে গিয়েছিলাম। আপনি হয়তো জানেন যে একটা সম্মেলন হয়েছিল গৌহাটিতে, আমাদের দেশের মাননীয় বাণিজ্য মন্ত্রী সহ কয়েকজন আমরা গেছি। সেখানে আমাদের কানেক্টিভিটি, এই যে মানে ইউজ অফ চিটাগং পোর্ট, মংলা পোর্ট, আসাম পর্যন্ত সেই যে প্রটোকলগুলো স্বাক্ষরিত হয়েছে, দুইটা প্রটোকল আমি স্বাক্ষর করেছি ওদের সাথে। এখন এই যে কানেক্টিভিটি বাড়ছে, মানে আসামের গভর্নর এবং আসামের চিফ মিনিস্টার তারা বলেছে আমাদের চা আমাদের টিমবার আমরা চাই ঢাকা হয়ে সারা পৃথিবীতে চাই। প্রয়োজনে তারা বাংলাদেশে ব্র্যান্ডিং তারা করতে চায়, বলে যে বাংলাদেশ ব্র্যান্ডিং করো, কারণ বাংলাদেশে এত চা খায় মানুষ, এখন আর চা এক্সপোর্ট করতে পারে না বাংলাদেশে, কাজে আসাম থেকে সেটা আসতে পারে। কাজে আজকে বিষয়টা হচ্ছে যে অর্থনৈতিক সম্পর্ক, সামাজিক সম্পর্ক, কালচারাল সম্পর্ক, ইতিহাসের বহু বিষয় এটি জড়িত আমাদের সাথে। এখন একটা কেন আজকে দুর্ভাগ্যজনক যে মুসলিম তাদেরকে আলাদাভাবে করা হয়েছে। 665 বছরের মুসলিম শাসন ভারতকে অনেক কিছু দিয়েছে। আপনার আর্যরা তো আসছে সেই মানে 2000-2500 বছর থেকে আপনার দক্ষিণ এসেছে, তারা দেয়নি, তত বেদ শাস্ত্র তারা দিয়েছে। কাজে হচ্ছে সাধারণ মানুষের কাছে যে সাম্প্রদায়িকতার ইস্যুটা যেমন বাংলাদেশেও থাকে, যে অ্যান্টি ইন্ডিয়ান সেন্টিমেন্ট, ওখানেও থাকে অ্যান্টি বাংলাদেশ সেন্টিমেন্ট। এক জায়গার সেন্টিমেন্টটা স্ট্রং হইলে তখন আরেক জায়গায় যে এটা প্রভাবিত করে। যখন কোনো দুর্ঘটনা ভারতে ঘটে বা ইউরোপে ঘটে বা পাকিস্তানে ঘটে, সেটা সাধারণ মানুষকে কিন্তু মানে উদ্বেলিত করে এবং সেটা সম্পর্ক নষ্ট করে। আমরা চাই আমাদের সরকার যেভাবে চিন্তা করে যে একটা অসাম্প্রদায়িক রাষ্ট্র, এবং বাংলাদেশে ট্রুলি হিন্দু হোক, বৌদ্ধ হোক, খ্রিস্টান হোক, সবার প্রতি ন্যায় বিচার করার জন্য সরকার 100 চেষ্টা করে। এবং বাংলাদেশের যে পরিমাণ দুর্গা উৎসব হয় এটা অকল্পনীয়, অনেকে এসে দেখে গেছে, সেটা অসাম্প্রদায়িক রাষ্ট্র করার চিন্তা করছে। এবং ইন্ডিয়াতেও আজকে আনন্দের বিষয় যে বহু বুদ্ধিজীবী শ্রেণী, বহু মানুষ জন্ম নিয়েছে যারা একটা অসাম্প্রদায়িক রাষ্ট্র, যে গান্ধী নেহরুর নীতিতে তারা চেষ্টা করে যাচ্ছে। তা আসাম, নাগাল্যান্ড যেটাই বলি, তা আমরা বিশ্বাস করি যে তারা আমাদের এটাও আমাকে বলেছে যে আপনারা চিটাং পোর্ট ব্যবহার করার সুযোগ কেন দিবেন না। আসাম বেঙ্গল রেলওয়ে যখন হয়েছিল, আসামের অর্থ ব্যয় হয়েছিল চিটাং পোর্ট বা এই রেলওয়ে নির্মাণে। কাজে আমরা মানে তাদেরকে এই সুবিধা দিতে অনেকটা বাধ্য, দেওয়া উচিত নৈতিকভাবে, যে আমরা 1000 বছর ধরে একসাথে ছিলাম, আছি। যাই হোক, আপনাকে আবারও অভিনন্দন এবং এশিয়াটিক সোসাইটিকে অভিনন্দন। একটা কথাই শুধু বলতে চাই যে বাংলাদেশ মানবিক অসাম্প্রদায়িক রাষ্ট্র হিসেবে কাজ করবে এবং কাজ করে যাচ্ছে, এবং সারা পৃথিবীর সেই দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি নিয়ে চললেই তাহলে আমরা একটা আনন্দময় পৃথিবী পাবো। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you for your excellent presentation. I have a very specific question to you. You know, we nowadays we hear about something called love jihad, and the BJP and other Hindu parties, they are very afraid of this love jihad. So it looks like that also something similar to that is happening in Nagaland and maybe Assam. My question is that why they are afraid of love jihad? Because when they are marrying a Hindu girl, a Muslim boy is marrying a Hindu girl, he is converting her to Islam. This is the problem. Because according to Islam, a Muslim cannot marry a Hindu girl without converting her. So this conversion is the main problem there. So I want to know, if exactly the same thing is happening, are they converting? And also this, what is happening if not, because by the way the religion practice in Assam is a bit different from the other part. কারণ তারা কিন্তু নিরাকার উপাসক, সেখানে they don't have any deity or anything like that. So, and also what is happening to the religious identity of the offspring? This is my question. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am, for your nice presentation. It is indeed a good presentation. You have your flow and fluencies really deserves thanks. Ma'am, in the paper, you have stated many things about Assami people, immigrants, people migrants, and you have narrated the socio-economic and cultural aspects. My question to you, who are more oppressed, whether the immigrants people or the migrants people or the native people? And for this, for such a position, there are classes in the region and the problems. and disputes, inter-country disputes. So to settle the disputes, what the government, what are the government drives? I say there are the central government in your India. There are central government and there are the state government. So, is there how do they see? Do you find any variation or difference the outlook of the government, or how government treats in which way government want to settle the disputes? My specific question is who are more oppressed, the immigrants people or the migrants people? And my another question to you, ma'am, if you don't mind, from which tribe you come from? This is my curiosity from my side. I want to know. Thanks from my side. Assalamu alaikum.
So thank you very much and congratulations once again. As you know, probably don't know, I'm a historian, so I look things from historical points of view. So I'm sure that we're developing this into a book and so on. So I would like to request you to give a little bit of detailed discussion about the historical background of all these things. Okay, so that's the one thing. The second thing, I couldn't catch it probably, it may be my mistake, that when you were talking about foothills, what areas were actually being, the area, because foothill does not really make any sense, unless you say it's the east and the west and so on and so on. And the other things, you have brought on many kinds of issues, etc., which of course would be useful when you are developing it into a book. Two specific things, I'm sorry, I'm not taking a long time, two specific things that you are still saying that Chakma people are going into that foothill areas. Why Chakma, and what is the problem that why they are leaving Bangladesh into that area? And the last thing, I just forgot, this Chakma thing, the other thing is that I really don't buy this thing, sorry to say this, that researchers have not a specific, should not express the specific ideas or should not try to solve problems, should not give some kind of guidance to people. Otherwise, what is the purpose of research? It must be productive, fruitful in one way. So what is appearing from the discussions, there's lots of things are happening, too many things. We cannot really find out what is the root of all these things. So I would request you to be more specific so that one day we can solve the problem. Because after all, research means that we must find out some new ideas, new knowledge, so that we can solve certain things. Research for research's sake is no good at all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I agree with you, our distinguished president, that you have rightly said that it was a thought-provoking paper. In fact, I don't have comments, but I have some queries. First of all, as you said that this is part of your PhD research, and you have dealt with the issue of illegal Bangladeshi migration. But
the illegal is always in quote unquote.
Yes. It's okay. But if you look at the reference, you have not even dealt with a single Bangladeshi literature, or you didn't. I mean, you will make it clear whether you have tried to talk to any Bangladeshi scholar about this. This is number one. Number two, in your paper, you have quoted at least two quotations from the IDSA. To the best of my knowledge, IDSA is very much concerned with the national security of India. So it indicates that India considers this issue. Is it a national security issue? does India consider it as a national security issue? Then why have you quoted from IDSA? That's my question. And number 3, this is more or less related to basically your research. In fact, I have not understood actually, where does this research in fact contribute to the knowledge? Can you just say a few words about it? Finally, you have mentioned in your paper that LSU, this is a student organization of Nagaland, right? But then I'm not actually clear about it. Why student organization was assigned to check the illegal influx of migration in Nagaland? Finally, in your conclusion you said that they are living together but then separately, right? But then I understand from your presentation that you don't take any position about illegal, quote unquote, right? So if you don't take any position about this particular issue, then how can you conclude that they are living together but separately? But if social harmony, if you take a position about social harmony, then you must take a position about illegal, quote unquote. Thank you very much.
Please.
Thank you very much for nice and very exciting presentation. This is very much informative for everyone. Although I am the student of science, I am the professor of Lipsum, but this is very much interesting for me. There are many discussions I have heard here. One important thing I would like to know, that is, this is a measurable situation existing over there. But there are some illegal illegal people from Bangladesh. So there are some regulatory authority over there, or the Bangladeshi people or Bangladesh government. What's their real initiatives to improve their quality? Because this is the research work or research findings, and each and every research findings must have the benefits for the victims. So my request, is there any initiatives both from this G2G, or is there any findings from your research that we will be satisfied from this? There will be some initiatives and their condition will be improved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think I would like to start with the last sentence you mentioned. And you said they live together separately. And I think this is where the problem lies. Because when you say they live together but separately, it doesn't mean they coexist. Or it doesn't mean that hybrid identity is politically recognized. The problem lies more with, the creation of nation state. And that nation state has, given a very different perspective of what we see today. If I recall Rabindranath's idea of a nation state, he said this idea of nation state, which is very much Western, it doesn't fit into the reality of the South Asian, perspective. So we need to have a Samaj Rashtra, a society state that can accommodate everyone, every race and every community. And from that sense, I would like to say your title of the paper, it doesn't suit the reality experience nowadays regarding this identity politics. Because when you say that this is the hostility to coexistence, I might differ. Because it is not the coexistence, it coexisted in the past when the Zamindars, when the Congress leaders, or even the Muslim League leaders invited the peasants to move on to, Assam and cultivate their land. And that time they were very much welcoming. In that sense, coexistence existed during that time. But with the creation of nation state and with the, advent of this identity politics in Assam and India, it has now generating more hostility. And this hybrid identity might be a strategy to rescue himself or herself from this hostility. So my perception is that your title should be from coexistence to hostility. And this hybrid identity is a strategy for survival. Thank you so much.
You are right. I have lost much of my enthusiasm. And I see that people of my country, at least the heart of my countrymen, is very easy to win. Honorable Speaker is already flooded with lots of applause, but mine would be a different. In the beginning, that is in the very first sentence, you have written that the inflow of people from the present day Bangladesh is still happening. I think many of the people of Bangladesh, including the government, will seriously disagree with your statement, with your initial statement. Did you ever consult any of the Bangladeshi bureaucrats or political authority about this statement? Did you consult any of the papers Bangladesh government ever produced? Okay. Did you ever consult, my specific question, the position of Bangladesh and the position of India in the Human Development Index prepared by UN bodies? And then you may have some impression of how these two countries are performing over last 2 or 3 decades. As one of my previous speakers have already mentioned, that agricultural laborers at Bangladesh are not easy to find. And why on earth they go to some neighboring countries in order to lead a slavish life? Second, on the page 4, you have provided a table. Table number 1, the Muslim population of Assam from 1911 to 1941. And still, part of Bangladesh was Assam at that moment, right? And what is the purpose of this table here? From 1911 to 1941, that was the same land, under the same government of India, right? Okay. On page number 10, you have written, in order to construct the railway tracks, the British brought cheap Bangladeshi laborers. Do you agree with this statement? Cheap Bangladeshi laborers the British government brought.
At that time,
Okay,
we got the point.
so the British government actually took resort to cheap laborers from from the territory they had been governing, which was then called British India.
Not really.
It was and the history is known to us all. Okay, my point is, again, this is a methodological question. You claim that your research was an ethnographic one, right? On page 2, you have written the present study is ethnography. Okay, and there are so many stories. I hope you have heard from diverse people. But did you ever, and you have already said that this is your maiden visit to Bangladesh. You could manage some time to visit this part of the border and see how people live here and what do these people think, the laborers, the potential laborers in your eyes, how do they think of going abroad in order to be day laborers or in order to be laborers in agricultural lands. These are not within the visions of our people, of the people of Bangladesh. Okay. Again, my last point is, you have written that immigrant Bangladeshi laborers, and you have put immigrant under quotation mark also,
but not Bangladeshi immigrants also. I'll suggest you to talk to Bangladeshi people, consult some Bangladeshi documents and Bangladeshi intellectuals, and mix with some people of the remote areas, of the village areas, of the bordering areas, and talk to them how do they feel like going beyond the borders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This lecture has been absolutely beneficial for me, because I, along with a senior professor of Dhaka University and a professor of Bragg University, have been trying to conduct a research on this particular issue related to your issue. And our title is, I can mention, Reversing the Dimension of Socio-Political Challenges of Tripura Indigenous People to Develop a Resolution Framework. We are in the process, and your lecture has been absolutely beneficial for me, and also the guidance and the methodological issues that my respected Mamun sir and other senior teachers presented here have mentioned. It will be also helpful for us, me present here, one of the authors here, to conduct our research. Okay, and it will obviously add value to our research. I have two specific questions. A kind of social capital obviously exists. They are not connected, you said. On the other hand, you have said they are not disconnected. There is obviously either exposed or hidden social capital exists. What is the main component for which they are still living together somehow? That is my first question. Second question is that as a PhD researcher, I am also going to my conduct research on ethnography, depending on ethnography. So you have obviously faced a lot of problems whenever you have gone to the field to collect your data. So please kindly inform some of the things that can be beneficial for me to conduct the research. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks to Almighty, যিনি আমাকে এখানে পাঠিয়েছেন আমার সৃষ্টিকর্তাকে। অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি গত 8 তারিখ থেকে গতকাল পরশু পর্যন্ত একটানা করেছিলাম পটুয়াখালী, চিটাগাং ইউনিভার্সিটি, এখানে সিলেট ইউনিভার্সিটি। হঠাৎ করে আমার গ্র্যান্ডসন বলছে তোমার একটা মেসেজ আছে, আমি কোথায় দেখাও দেখাও। থ্যাংকস, সেজন্য আল্লাহর কাছে আমি কৃতজ্ঞ। বন্ধুরা আমার, কথা শুরু করলে তো শেষ নেই, অনেক কথা, lot of sagas, lot of histories, lot of thoughts we had. We are containing lot of memories. About 1947 থেকে শুরু করে আজ পর্যন্ত হাজারো বই হতে পারে, হাজারো। সো আমি প্রথমেই ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের রেসপেক্টেড চেয়ারম্যান স্যারকে এবং সেক্রেটারি মহোদয়কে এত সুন্দর একটা অনুষ্ঠান করবার জন্য। আমি খুব সংক্ষেপ করব, কারণ সংক্ষেপ করব এই জন্য ওনাকে আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাই, এত সুন্দর একটি ব্যবহার করেছে। তো আমি অন্যরা যা বলেছেন, জনাব সামাদ সাহেব বলেছেন সিনিয়র সচিব, এবং আমার অন্য ভাইয়েরা বলেছেন, অনেক কথা বলেছেন। বিশেষ করে সাব্বির স্যার বললেন, সোহেল চৌধুরী সাহেব তো শুরু ভালো শুরু করে দিলেন, আর স্যার কিন্তু একটা সুন্দর একটা শব্দ বলেছেন, কিন্তু কথা অনেক মিনিং অনেক। আমাদের সভাপতি মহোদয় তিনি বলেছেন যে ইটস এ ক্লাসিক এথনোগ্রাফিক ওয়ার্ক। সো হোয়াট আই উইল ডু, আমি প্রথমে একটু বলে নেই, আমার অনেক স্মৃতি আছে, অনেক স্মৃতি কথা আছে। ডিব্রুগড়ের সাথে আছে, শিলংয়ের সাথে আছে, গুয়াহাটির সাথে আছে, and other parts of Northeast region. Because of, luckily I got life membership of Northeast Social Science Research Council. এবং স্যার বলছিলেন এই যে তুরা ক্যাম্পাসের কথা, আমাদের তুরা ক্যাম্পাসের আউট ক্যাম্পাস অফ নর্থ ইস্ট হিল ইউনিভার্সিটি। আমি সেদিকে যাব না, আমি আজকে এখানে সব ছাত্রকে ধন্যবাদ দাদা, এত সুন্দর সুন্দর কথা বলেছেন। আমি শুধু ওনাকে বলবো কনগ্রাচুলেট করছি, বিকজ অ্যাজ এ mid-level scholar of India or of this subcontinent, I congratulate you, your presentation. I have enjoyed. A few thoughts I gave. One of my colleagues said, you are telling ethnographic works, but you have done a great mistake. That is maybe living together, maybe a practice of community. But as an ethnographer, I can't say directly that they have, but I can say that I have seen that they have this type of practices. As a result, we caught you. So my simple suggestions for you for next time when you will go for publish this report. I have so many friends in different universities of that part, northeast part. First of all, you are telling classic ethnographic work, but you gave very less classic ethnographic information. Should not, we can't expect, because I live in ethnographic fields, which is very advanced field of anthropological education in present day. So that is a big mistake. Then you see which method you have followed, omitted it. Obviously, it may be a longitudinal study. How many days you have stayed here? If I say ethnographic work, 7 days? No. 1 month? No. If it is academic work, at least you have to stay 1 year. My question is this: how many months or years you have stayed with your community people? No, don't take it other way for betterment of your future publication. Can I say that is it longitudinal study? Keep it in your mind. If it is academic research, especially ethnographic research, you have to follow some ethnographic principles, which we follow. In this globe, those who are working in Western world, Eastern world, Far East, Indian subcontinent, with the Bangladeshi ethnographers or anthropologists, we follow some sort of basic principles, like, formula, mathematics formula. We have some sort of formulas, we follow it. Otherwise, we can't say that this is ethnographic work. In this regard, may I request you, please, have you seen closely different ethnographic accounts? I give more emphasis on ethnographic accounts, I mean family, religion, and other matters. As an ethnographer, I can't hurt anybody. I can't say like this: I have seen, I have studied, I have seen some secondary papers. They have this type of practices. Lastly, try to, when you will publish your book, may I request you, even you have failed to say your professor's name. I don't know who was your professor. At least when we will present any papers, at least we shouldn't mention the name of my professors, so and so. Try to incorporate more latest information. When you will publish your book, please, my request to you, give a visit again and see some sort of contextual facts, today's contextual facts, and you try to find out those things. And after that, my humble request to you, to consult your professors that you are going to publish your books, and then you give some sort of observation in your study area, and try to mix with ethnographic principles, values, ethnographic thoughts. Then I think this book would be a very good publication for us. And sir, you are expecting book from him? Her now? I think that she will be able to fulfill our hopes and aspirations. ছোট্ট একটা কথা বলি আপনাকে, শেষ কথাটি। আমি গৌহাটিতে খুব উপলাকে কটন ইউনিভার্সিটি ডেকেছিল। আমি খুব মন খারাপ করে আসছি। কেন এটা হলো আমি জানি না। এটা বাংলাদেশে এবং আমাদের সাবকন্টিনেন্টে ইদানিং এই রোগটা দেখা দিয়েছে। স্যার, আপনারা যারা গবেষণা করছেন বা যারা গবেষণায় রত আছেন, তাদের প্রতি আমার অনুরোধ, of course you will follow. One of my respected guest participant told me, you have very less ethnographic references, but so many ethnographic works we have, so many ethnographic works Indian scholars have done, but you have incorporated very less ethnographic works. So you think about your reference also.
Please.
Yes, lastly I should say, you have done well, we have enjoyed much. What I say, we should give more looking to our people. We have to see, of course, macrocosmic. So some questions
arised, it is very difficult to give answer, but thing is this micro unit is a part of macro unit. So in that context, may I request you, please and again please give another visit to looking the contemporary glimpses of those communities. আমার খুব ভালো লেগেছে, আমি এত জায়গায় গিয়েছি, এত ভালোবাসা, এত সেই গোলাঘাটের সেই ডিসি গোলাঘাটের সম্মান, সেই জিষ্ণু বড়ুয়া চিফ সেক্রেটারি অফ শ্রী তরুণ গগৈ, এত ভালোবাসা বাঙালিদেরকে ওনারা দেন। 50 মাইল দূর থেকে এক পোটলা চা দেওয়ার জন্য গাড়ি দৌড়িয়ে আসছে, স্যার দাঁড়ান। জিষ্ণু বড়ুয়া গেভ মি একজন চিফ সেক্রেটারি, তার মধ্যে ওই সেক্রেটারিয়াল ভাব নেই, একেবারে সাদামাটা একজন মানুষ হিসেবে সে আমাকে সান্নিধ্য দিয়েছে, কথা বলেছে। এবং আসার সময় যখন আমি শেষ করছি, গুয়াহাটি থেকে আসছি, উনি তখনও বলছেন আমি দিল্লিতে, আপনি কি ভাত খেয়েছেন দুপুরে? ইয়েস, আই হ্যাভ টেকেন মাই মিল। বন্ধুরা আমার, আমি ছোট্ট একটা কথা বলে যাই, আমার কথাটা কিভাবে দেখবেন আপনারা জানি না। আমাদের ভালোবাসা বাংলাদেশ এবং ভারতের মানুষের মধ্যে অক্ষয়, চির অক্ষয়, চির অম্লান। যুগ ধরে আমরা যেমন চলে যাচ্ছি, এই আমরা উই আর প্রসিডিং টুয়ার্ডস এইজিং, আমাদের প্রজন্ম এরকম যাবে। আমাদের এই ভালোবাসার জয় হোক, ভারত বাংলাদেশ সুন্দর থাকুক। আমি প্রায় বলি যে কথাটি সব জায়গায়, আপনারাও দুধে ভাতে থাকবেন, আমরা যেন দুধে ভাতে থাকি। আর এশিয়াটিক সোসাইটি আমি একটু বলবো, স্যার, ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ এনি প্ল্যান, ইউ মেক সাম সর্ট অফ গুড থটস অ্যাবাউট নর্থ ইস্ট পার্ট। আসার সময় লাস্ট কথাটি বলে শেষ করছি, আমাকে বলছে এসডিপিও অফ আসাম, স্যার লুক ইস্ট পলিসিটা একটু করবেন। আমরা তো ছোট পুলিশ অফিসার, আমাদের কথা কে শোনে? আমাদের উই শুড হ্যাভ বেটার বন্ডেজেস উইথ মাই নাইবারিং পিপল। আমি সকলের জন্য আশীর্বাদ থাকলো। মে অলমাইটি ব্লেস ইউ। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। অনেক কথা জমা থাকলো, পরে বলবো।
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ, আপনাদের সকলকে ধন্যবাদ। তো ডক্টর অন্তরায়, নাও ইট ইজ ইউর টার্ন to respond if you like, and I hope you will like. But at the beginning, I only say that you are successful. I think 60% of the participants or attendants raised their voice, and this is a big success.
Most importantly, this most hotly debated topic actually between the two nations. That is the reason how more than half of the people may have questions and queries or their opinions about the paper. So, sir asked me about something regarding is there difference between the Assamese migration to Assam and migration to Bengal. There is some question like that. So, of course, there is a difference actually between the migration which happened to Bengal and migration which happened to Assam. Here for the case of Bengal, the language was the same, that is the Bengali, and for Assam it was again the language was different, that is the Assamese. So the Assamese speaking people, they have this ethnocentric tendencies, so they always have a resistance towards these non-Assamese speakers. Not only about, I'm speaking about the Bengali or the immigrant Bangladeshis, they are there is a, this debate is also a very hotly debated topic in Assam, that is outsider and insider debate actually. There is always, they are against the Biharis, they are against the Marwaris, they are against their own people from their own nation actually. It is not only about the immigrant Bangladeshis, it is again with they have resistance towards these other people actually. They that is the situation in Assam. And another question about how it is whether these Miya Muslims are only called as Miyas. So yes, not Hindu the Hindu immigrants are never called as ascribed as Miyas. It is only the Muslim immigrants. So basically the people I have narrated in the paper I have read out in the paper that the there is a very common general perception in the people of Assam that the people who wear a means lungi, that is blue checkered, and have a top means a cap, means skull cap, and then he is regarded as a Miya. In spite of his means whatever language he speaks, whatever means, and we mostly use means these Assamese people or the other people means indigenous people mostly use very other derogatory terms against this population actually. Those who wear this kind of attire actually. So our identification mark means cultural identification marker is only the clothes. So means sometimes this cultural identification marker again turns into the political identification marker also. That is the problem there. Problem lies out there actually. So another question said about the love jihad that BJP and Hindu outfit are now propagating throughout the country. So it is not like that actually. The conversion means here the Sema Naga women are marrying the immigrant Bangladeshi men. Mostly we have seen. So means there is no such conversion. Actually, this immigrant Bangladeshi means always means. I'm not saying that these immigrant Bangladeshis are means now they have come. They are the descendants. They may be the descendants of this means before the partitions also. Means they are descendants of that origin, Miya origin actually. So this conversion, there is no such conversion when they are marrying this immigrant Bangladeshis. These Naga women, they do not convert into Muslim actually. They and even their offsprings are using the surnames of the Naga women only.
I think this is part of their culture.
This is not part of it. Means again, the Naga society is a patriarchal society. It is not because of the land sanction, so that they can do their business. This immigrant Bangladeshi origin people can do their business over there, so that they can means in the art means Nagaland is again governed by Article 371, which doesn't allow any non-Naga to purchase land in the Nagaland. So this is the main reason why these men are marrying actually. So these hybrid identities are forming up. So about their offspring, I have already said that their offspring has their surnames are given the Naga surnames only. This semi-hybrid identity.
But what about their religion? Are they practicing the religion of their mother?
They are practicing their religion of the mother only. Yeah. And what are the government drives to for this conflict management? Sir has asked me. Yeah. Means there are no, these are very petty conflicts, means it's very local level conflicts which happens. So means these are always means, and again in the backdrop of this whole the situation which I have given account of, this has happened against the backdrop of a border conflict. That is the Assam-Nagaland border conflict, which means which has been taking place since 1961, since the emergence of the Nagaland, because both the states do not adhere to that demarcation line between the two states actually. So in spite of the border conflict, there are some petty conflicts, means there are land issues between two neighboring people, and these has been always been camouflaged as means border conflict, or this has been always camouflaged as by media and other means whatever other houses, means even the politicians, local politicians camouflage it as a means it is this means they always means signifies that this conflict is being going, means these petty issues are going between the immigrant Bangladeshis and again this indigenous people. Means these take the shape of the news headlines actually, but actually it is a conflict or clashes between the two neighbors about this means, for example, there is means somebody take up the cow of the another house against their fences. These all petty crimes crimes are camouflaged as this kind of issues actually. Actually in the real sense, actually these are not issues actually. So then, so what foothill connotes actually? So foothill actually, so can you go back to my slides? Nagaland is a hill state. And means Assam is again plain state. And Assam and Nagaland shares a border of 434-kilometer long border, and which is a disputed border between the two states actually. And all that border is known as foothills border, and it looks like this actually.
So all that is happening is over there.
Over there, yes. Entire 434
Which
kilometer.
is not a very big area, is it?
It same means I have said that whole boundary between the two states is 434 kilometer long, and from the Assam parts it is. So from the Assam part there are 4 districts actually bounding to means Nagaland actually, and I am mostly looking on to the one district, that is Golaghat district. And you also asked me about the Sakma population. So and here only I want to make you aware that the first part of my paper, this paper, was mainly based on the secondary sources actually. So to give the audience about this, I want to throw some light on the social history of this migration, because many people may not know about that history. That's only I have added this portion actually. And the later part, which I have said about this assimilation process and other process, I have not spoken about the shadow economy and all those things, but my thesis has got those things also. The interactions means that the daily interactions between immigrants and the indigenous people, and even with the indigenous people and the other migrant peoples from our own country actually. So there are always means it is the day-to-day life, everyday experiences I have gathered actually. So this Chakma people means only to throw light on the migration history only I have mentioned about that this was also a kind of a forced migration which happened from Bangladesh to Assam. But other thing I do not have much knowledge about them. So you asked me again about some specific problems. Can you repeat the question?
Me?
Yeah, yes sir.
Well, I didn't mean that specific means, of course, something is happening over there, which is not desirable. But as you know, in every place, in every case, there are so many aspects of a problem. There should be some key problems to which we should be giving more attention. So I would like that when you are developing it, you must actually highlight the key issues so that we know that we can deal with that.
So my research question is like that: how, in spite of different people coming from different point this migration are happening at a different point of time. Different migration are happening. It is not my species not only talks about this immigrant Bangladeshis. My species also talks about Adivasi people. They are also migrants from another province of India at that period of time. I'm also talking about the Nepali people. I'm talking about a lot of people who are coming up, and again there are a lot of indigenous people already existing there. So after means how they are
actually what I would like to say to the whole audience is that lots of things are now coming up, newspaper, social media, etc. Some of these things really hurt us. I mean, all of a sudden we find there was some big headlines over what is going on in Assam, especially with the coming of this BJP government also. So this is very hard burning, shocking. Okay? But as a, say for example, I'm doing something else, I don't know much about it, but I can realize that something is wrong over there. Okay? So that, but this is shocking. So what we as educationists, researchers and others we should have also a social responsibility and moral responsibility. What we tend to do nowadays, that we either accuse or abuse the politicians or leave it to them to sort out. We don't play any role. Then why we are spending so much time doing researches, etc. We must play a role. We must come out with some kind of solutions or statements so that really these things should disappear. And I mentioned about Chakma particularly. I think we have a problem now with these hill people. I'm not going into that, but I must request you that you should be aware what is going on in Chittagong hill tribes now. You do not know what is going to happen in the next 10 years. I hope it does not go into worse kind of things, but We have to be aware. That's why that's being done. But anyway, we have a responsibility
But I
to
think
our country, to our nation. Sorry.
Professor Sharif is looking for some kind of prescription, not only narration.
Exactly.
He wants more. That do you have any prescription for politicians? That is what I think.
But not for medical.
No, for the politician.
Prescription is, that is only I am trying to actually always, everyone tries to highlight that conflict. But somehow, in some extent, to some extent, they are coexisting also. This is not, means nowhere it is highlighted actually. At least in that part of the country, in my part of the country, it is never highlighted actually. No, not even an academician tries to highlight this coexistence actually. At least I am speaking about this hybridized.
It's all right. I think everything fine. সবচেয়ে সুন্দর হয়েছে. But thing is this, you have admitted that you have followed more secondary sources reports, findings, many things, right?
So this is for this paper only.
Yeah,
this
it's
paper.
okay. I think this paper you have emerged these things from your PhD dissertation, obviously.
Yes.
So in this regard, may I request you again, please, for the overall, what I say, enrichment of this paper in the field. Yes, sir.
What are the primary
In the field of ethnography, you are telling ethnographic words. So if you use this word, again I should say you have to give more emphasis on ethnographic accounts. So if you give a visit,
if I would have much time, I would have shared a lot of other stories also. I have a lot of couple of other stories.
But I am in a dichotomy, ma'am. As a student of anthropology and as a very small teeny guy of ethnographic field, how I can say that, sorry, with full respect of your university, your professor and others, this is an ethnographic work. If you can satisfy me, I will agree. If you can't, then again I will request, please visit your study area, give some sort of looking to see the contextual facts of the community people, and you try to explore all the informations, try to explore glimpses of the exact glimpses of the community, and try to do things, combine all those things or incorporate all those things, then you published your books.
Yes.
I think there is a knowledge gap or information gap. Let me tell the way I understood it. By the way, she mentioned that it is in a way, not that the total work is a anthropological work. She did not mention it. She only mentioned that in a sense, in a way, partly. That is number one. Number two, the whole thesis is not presented here. She made say 20 pages first, and then when she delivered, she only used in a different language. I have followed it. This is 25 pages, for example. But she has presented here only 10 pages. So many things, many interesting things we could not follow. But finally, I think she has understood what you have told and all other people. And as a researcher, it is welcoming that people make comments. I think she is intelligent enough. She will try to address those things, those gaps. But the final word I say, no what. Einstein words is also not complete. Einstein made a mistake, and our Satyam Ghosh found it out. No what is complete. Okay, so if you have finished.
You may conclude. So you asked me about the ethnography, no? So I have spent about 9 months in the field. So it was I have found a local host over there. So first it was very difficult for me because I'm an outsider. Though it was 35 kilometers away from my home, the Merapani village was just 35 kilometers. Again, I was an outsider because the language there which was spoken, I do not know that language. I have to learn that language, that is Nagamese language. And the people, I have to find a host family over that particular period of time. So so that's why to know the means to percolate into the situation, first thing I have done the household listing, so that the communication becomes easy for me, so that people know that what I'm looking for. Yeah. So the first thing is to how to means percolate into the host family. First thing is to find out that host family, then how to percolate into that society. So for that I have to use the method of this household listing. So I visited almost every houses.
Okay, so finally I have all good words for her, and actually I believe that she is highly rewarded, she will appreciate, and because so many people in so many ways, I should not say scrutinized you, they have rather suggested you so many things. I think finally you will be benefited. So it is now my turn. I have not much to add. Only one thing before I make comment on her work, I make one remark about research. এই কথাটা অনেকভাবে আসছে, আমরা সত্য অনুসন্ধান করি। Researcher looks for truth, but question is, there is one truth, there is absolute truth. No. There may be more than one truth. There is hardly any truth that transcends time and place. পৃথিবীতে খুব কম সত্য আছে যা সময় এবং স্থানকে অতিক্রম করতে পারে। অধিকাংশ সত্য সময়ের সঙ্গে সঙ্গে কিন্তু মিলিয়ে যায়। And Marx repeatedly say there may be more than one truth and there may be conflicting truth. Let me make a conflicting truth. People does not like, mankind এর জন্য last হচ্ছে to leave motherland. মানুষের সবচেয়ে খারাপ চয়েস হচ্ছে দেশান্তর হওয়া। মানুষ মাতৃভূমিকে কখনো যেতে চায় না, মাতৃভূমিতে থেকে যেতে চায়। বাট মানুষের এই ইতিহাসও সত্য, মানুষ অনবরত মাইগ্রেট করেছে। মানে যখনই যদি আমরা এভাবে বলি যে বেহেশতের থেকে পৃথিবীতে আসছে, এটাও একটা মাইগ্রেশন। মানুষের ধর্মই হচ্ছে মাইগ্রেট করা। মাইগ্রেশন 47-এ হয়েছে, বাট দি ফ্যাক্ট ইজ 47-এর মাইগ্রেশন আর পরবর্তী সময়ের মাইগ্রেশন, বাংলাদেশ থেকে ভারতের মাইগ্রেশন আর বাংলাদেশ থেকে ইউনাইটেড স্টেটসের মাইগ্রেশন এক না। এটা অনেক বেশি কমপ্লেক্স, এবং কমপ্লেক্সিটিটা আমি বলেছি এটা ক্লাসিক, but the politician has made it neoclassic by adding religious component. এটা একটা ডেমোগ্রাফিক ইস্যু ছিল, এটা একটা কালচারাল ইস্যু ছিল, এটা একটা ইকোনমিক ইস্যু ছিল, এটা একটা পলিটিক্যাল ইস্যু ছিল, এটার সঙ্গে এখন ধর্ম যোগ করে এটা একটা নিওক্লাসিক ইস্যু করা হয়েছে। দ্যাট ইজ মাই ফার্স্ট কমেন্ট। বাট ফাইনালি তো আমাদের পলিটিশিয়ানদের দিকেই তাকায় থাকতে হবে। দে হ্যাভ ক্রিয়েটেড দি প্রবলেম and they are the people who can solve it. আমরা বারবার ওনাকে ইন্ডিকেট যেটা করছি যে আপনি কি কিছু বলবেন, আপনি কি কিছু বলবেন, তা আমরা এটা বলতেই পারি, আমাদের বলা উচিত, কারণ পলিটিশিয়ানস আর অলসো সামটাইম ইনফ্লুয়েন্স। আমাদের একাডেমিশিয়ানদের কাজ হচ্ছে ওনাকে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করা, যে গো ফর দি রাইট থিং। আমার মনে হয় আপনি এই কাজটি করবেন, এটাই আমাদের প্রত্যাশা। আমরা ফাইনালি সবচেয়ে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ কাজ পৃথিবীতে পলিটিশিয়ানরাই করে। Let me finish by quoting Einstein. Einstein যখন 1921 সালে নোবেল প্রাইজ পান, I think you can follow me, he gave a lecture and he was very kind. Actually Einstein was very, what I should say, humble type of person. He said that I am not very sure why I am given the Nobel, because my basic work is the what he said, that is the setting up of the universe. গ্রহ উপগ্রহ নক্ষত্র কোথায় আছে, had I not been doing it, গ্রহ নক্ষত্র এমনিই থাকতো। Thanks to the Nobel awarding they have given it. But I recommend two things. Before you give, when you give scientist award, you should also consider economist, because unless the economist takes into account the work of the scientist, I mean the laboratory scientist, it does not work. So economists should be given Nobel Prize. And before you give it to the economist, give it to the politician, because economists are just professional. Unless a politician takes it up, it does not get any benefit. Bangladesh, the creation of Bangladesh is the final delivery of the politician. Master, ছাত্র, শিক্ষক, গায়ক, ফুটবলার সবাই করেছে, but it was the delivery of the politician. সেজন্য আমরা রিকোয়েস্ট করব ওনাকে, ভারতবর্ষের অধিবাসী হয়ে আমরা খুব কষ্ট পাই আর কি যে সব কথা শুনে, উনি ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করবেন যাতে ভারতের পলিটিশিয়ানরা এই বিষয়টাকে দেখেন। উইথ অল থ্যাঙ্কস এন্ড গ্র্যাটিটিউড টু ইউ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
আমি রিকমেন্ড করছি আমাদের সভাপতিকে একটা। থ্যাংক ইউ এভরিবডি।